Hello all, welcome back to Winter Does Stuff, where I talk to some crazy people about some crazy stuff, because let's be honest, nobody who's sane would ever join me in this. Today, we have special guest, Trey Watson. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Trying. How about you introduce yourself, give the listeners a little bit of background about who you are?
Yeah, happily. So, like we said already, my name is Trey Watson. I'm a musician, composer, and audio engineer, originally based out of Baltimore, Maryland, currently living in Washington, D.C. Most of what I do is on YouTube. I used to make a ton of covers, still doing that a little bit, but I'm kind of pivoting into making original music based on anime, video games, what have you. I also do a good bit of composing and performing work for a few video games and events like EVO, League of Legends, 2XKO, Doom Eternal. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Let's go all the way back to when you first kind of dropped into the scene. Where did you make your start?
Oh, that's an interesting one. So I've kind of always been releasing music online under my own name since for maybe about as far back as like 2009, 2010. But I first really entered the scene doing like VGM and nerdcore stuff maybe about 2018, 2019. I started doing YouTube covers when Jonathan Young, shouts out Jonathan, just randomly plucked me up and DM'd me on Twitter to be like, I'm doing a cover of Justin Bieber's Baby, Do You Want to Scream on It?
Okay.
And I was like, sure. Right.
Yeah.
You know? But then from there, we kind of started doing some League of Legends covers and other stuff. And I guess around the same time, I did a couple other things. So like 2019, I think, is the big point where it happened. Well, let's look at Mick Gordon's whole thing. He was doing an audition for Doom Eternal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing some of the other people who sent in their submissions, I immediately went, there is no way, it's not happening. So a friend of mine DMs me and goes, hey, so are you entering? And I tell him no. Like, there's no way. It's like there's too many good people. And he literally gives me the ultimatum of, either you do it yourself or I'm going to grab one of your YouTube videos and do it for you. So,
okay.
So,
very straightforward there, guy.
Oh, his name's Tane. I love him so much. He's the best.
Okay.
He made me force myself to send a video out, and I get an email from Mick Gordon being like, can you fly out to Austin in March? And that was 2019.
Wow.
So kind of between doing work with John on YouTube and getting pulled in to do Doom Eternal, both around 2019, that's like my introduction into both scenes.
Okay, hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't know about the Doom Eternal story. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew about Jonathan Young because, of course, I follow him. He's a legend. He's an absolute beast. His content is amazing. I'm subscribed to both of the channels, the one where he has the anime stuff.
Villainous.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I
super good.
am intending, because I haven't done it yet, but I'm intending to react to the album that he just put out recently. And I'm really stoked to do that, because I've been putting it off. There's a lot of stuff that I'm doing in the background. But yeah.
Story of my life, I get you.
Yeah. I didn't know about the Doom Eternal thing. That's really crazy.
Oh, dude, it was wild. It's even funnier because while that was happening, I was in college for a long time, like about 3 times as long as most people would, but that was my final year before I graduated.
Okay.
I have a degree in Asian studies. I actually had to go and ask my my professor, who's like the head of the Japanese department, if I could have days off to go fly to Texas to be in a video game.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like, are you for real? Like, you're not lying to me? And I'm like, does that sound like something someone would make up?
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah. You've worked, as you said, of course, you've worked with Jonathan. You've worked with Caleb Hiles on a few things too.
Oh, a lot.
I think the most notable one that I can think of right now is you worked on Addict, that cover.
Oh yeah,
that
was the first one.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you were actually featured on camera during that one.
I know. Yeah, like that was super cool. Caleb is also like the absolute best. Like so much love to him as well.
Yeah. I'll admit, that's actually when I got introduced to you, the Attic cover. And after I listened to that, I was like, yo, who is this? Who is this person? And I checked out the channel, I checked out all the collabs with Jonathan Young, and I was like, yo, this is a beast right here. This is a beast right here. So I'm really happy, by the way, like first and foremost, I guess before we get into anything else, I'm so happy to be doing this with you. This is really cool.
Thanks for having me. Seriously, this is awesome.
Yeah, of course. So I guess your introduction to the scene has been covered. Let's pivot a little bit into, you do stuff based off of, I guess mostly in the nerdcore scene, I would say, or at least with independent artists who also follow that circle.
I think that's probably the better. Yeah, like for a long time, I was just kind of making whatever I could, and I just made a bunch of friends who were already in the scene, so I was just kind of like, will you do something with me? And they're just like, okay, sure, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I mean, you have a lot of experience with both anime and gaming, as those are huge parts of the nerdcore scene. Favorite games, favorite anime? Let's go.
Oh man, we'll be going all day.
Hey, I've got time.
We're going to be yapping, I'm telling you.
Hey.
So I guess we'll start with anime. Like for me, it changes like daily almost, but like my top like 5, which is pretty much like almost never changes, is no particular order. The entire Dragon Ball series, because I can only be myself. I am like an eldritch anime fan who grew up watching Dragon Ball on like network TV, so like gotta be. Yu Yu Hakusho, which I just feel like is a super hidden gem for people who haven't watched it. I still, to this day, do not think any anime has done a better tournament arc than Yu Yu Hakusho.
No, not one. I think that anime is the reason why so many others have tournament arcs. Because...
did I lose you?
Oh, shit.
Nope, you're back. You're back.
Okay, sorry about that. Again, connection issues. We can cut that out. We can cut that out.
Yeah, no worries.
But I think that anime is the reason that so many others have tournament arcs. It's because they're all trying to one-up it, but they are not succeeding.
It's, often imitated, never duplicated, right? That's what they always say. Okay, 3 on that list is probably going to be Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, for sure.
There's a few reasons for me personally. One, I loved like Spike as a character just because he's very like devil may care the whole time. He's just kind of like, I guess this is just the decision I've made for myself today, and I swear sometimes I live like that. But also like, man, like Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts were like my introduction to like jazz as a kid, and they swing so hard, so like I just love it. I love it so much.
Oh yeah.
Another one that's more of a like niche pick for a lot of people is it's kind of obscure, but it's an anime called Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju.
Okay.
Which is more like lover suicide and Rakugo in the Showa era. So it's this drama piece about a Japanese cultural performance style called Rakugo. I'm not sure if you're familiar, if you've heard of it, but
I'm not.
Oh, cool. Well, time for me to do a long screed about Japanese culture stuff. Again, that's what I got my degree in, so like I'm a nerd for this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But Rakugo is a single person performance style done in Japan where one person plays multiple characters and uses a small number of props. They're seated by themselves and they go through every character, they go through the entire story arc. They're usually comedic. And this show is about something in the Showa period, which is kind of like 1900s, kind of like around the war. Mm-hmm. And as this is happening, it's the story of these two characters who kind of grow up side by side as Rakugo actors. Their personalities are very different. One, who goes by the name of Bon, is just super straightforward, no nonsense, very like prim and proper. And his partner, who he also grew up with, who's like his brother, who goes by the name Sukeroku, is very rough and tumble. He's like,
okay,
again, another super devil may care character, but he's also like a prodigy. He's hilarious compared to Bon, who's like super straight laced and does more drama filled Rakugo performances.
Mm-hmm.
And this takes place going back and forth, telling their whole story of like the drama between the two of them growing up, Sukeroku's tragic death as a young performer, and there's some bouncing back and forth to the present day where Bon is now an old man who's just really crotchety and he's raising Sukeroku's child, and it's just, you learn about how things got to this point and you watch this entire drama unfold. And honestly, like, God, I cried at the end of that anime. It was so good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that to like anyone who hasn't seen it. It's if you're into drama and like that sort of like more like emotion filled stuff, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, like the newer one that I've been super into lately has been I've been obsessed with One Piece. Well, I guess it's not new, but like
it's definitely not new.
Yeah, but it's new to me.
Yeah.
I got started like in December of this year, and we're not current yet, but I'm at just about episode 660. So like we're right in the middle of Dressrosa arc. Oh my God.
That means
so
you're
good.
like in the middle of in the middle between the older and the current stuff.
I'm about halfway through. I've been seeing a lot of stuff from Wano though. Like I'm so ready for Wano.
I'll be honest, I couldn't get into One Piece. It was too much. I saw that 1100 episode run and I was like, I can't commit myself to that, man.
I said the same thing. And my buddy, my best friend, Logan Van Adams, who, you know, you've seen him in a bunch of my videos too.
Mm-hmm.
Logan kind of was the one to get me into it. And his selling point was this, and I think this is the thing that worked. He's like, okay, One Piece episodes are 20 minutes, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, that's a lie. Because the first like 7 minutes are usually just recap of the previous episode. And then you take 3 like minutes out for the credits. Each episode is really only like 10 to 12 minutes. They're actually really fast and they go by really fast.
Okay.
As soon as he said that, I was just kind of like, But more than anything, you know, there's actually a Studio Wit's working on a remake of, I think, at least the East Blue arc, where they're going to cut a lot of the filler down.
Really?
If you're maybe considering giving it another shot, maybe wait for that one.
Okay. Because that's the other thing. It's like there's so much filler that I've heard about.
Yes.
And it's like... And so my experience with filler stuff has become very muddled because of the animated series Amphibia, if you've seen it.
I haven't.
It is a Disney animated series that has like a first season that's, you know, very childish. It all the episodes end with a lesson for kids to learn about families and about connections. And then season 2 gets into really story-heavy stuff. It's very similar to the Owl House, where season 1 was just setting things up. Season 2 kind of builds everything. the emotional side of things and that stuff, and then season 3 is like the big thing where it's just an explosive finale. But with Amphibia, there were so many people who said skip these episodes, and on my first watch through of the show, I did that. I was like, okay, I'll skip the filler episodes. But when I finished, I couldn't understand why people were raving about it so much. So then I went back and I watched all of those quote-by-quote filler episodes while watching the series front to back again. And then I got it. Because those, quote, filler episodes really helped me understand more of the characters. They really developed that more for me. So hearing that there's a show with so much quote-by-quote filler, when Amphibia was only, I want to say 60 episodes long, and about 35 of them were quoted to be filler, I was like, no, I can't do that. I would have to watch all of them to be able to get the same experience, I think.
I feel that, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like, One Piece's filler, thankfully, is, like, truly skippable, because it's just for fun most of the time. It'll be stuff like crossover episodes with another anime. Like, there's a Dragon Ball and One Piece crossover. In no way, shape, or form canon at all, but pretty fun.
Okay.
So yeah, like, they're actually guilt-free. Well, I'm not going to say guilt-free. Like, what I would say is I tell a lot of my friends, like, if you're going to look at those, do it on, like, when you're caught up. Like, it's pretty inconsequential.
Yeah. I've heard with One Piece is that it is the anime with the most high of highs, but it also has some of the most embarrassing lows when it comes to the filler stuff.
Oh. Yeah, the fillers are pretty... They really are sometimes just like, okay, I don't want to watch this, so I'm just going to skip the whole thing completely.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've heard with it is that, like, each arc is like 20, 30 episodes. And it's like, what? And I've heard sometimes it's even more than that.
Oh, yeah, like the Dressrosa arc that we're watching right now, it's something like 100-something episodes.
Jesus Christ.
But they managed to keep it interesting. Like, I was kind of surprised where I'm watching it and I'm like, why? I still care about this. That's wild.
That's literally like a tenth of the show.
It is, yeah. Like, Dressrosa is a big chunk of the show. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it sets up a lot of really important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I guess I can talk games. I'm just gonna give my top 5 for anime because, like, any more than that, and I'm gonna start, like, second guessing every decision I make because I love so many anime. Like,
well, I'm gonna tell you my favorite. My favorite anime of all time. I fell in love with it. I'm pretty sure you've at least heard of it, if not seen it, or maybe even seen it multiple times because you're a musician as you are. Your Lie in April.
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Favorite anime of all time.
Yeah. Your Lie in April's really good. The only reason it doesn't really top any of my lists is sometimes I just don't have that much capacity to be sad.
That is...
It's like sometimes I'm like, I do not wish to cry.
Yeah.
But no, Your Lie in April is fantastic.
There was a point where even Oda said that he wanted to create an arc of... he wanted to create an arc of anime that was similar to the impact that Your Lie had. And it's like, if you get that level of praise from that level of legend, you got something.
You're in there for sure.
Yeah, that anime, Cowboy Bebop is definitely another one for me because it's just so good. It's so fun. I think that's really what drives me to a lot of anime. You have to either be really emotional or really fun, and if you're both, that's wonderful.
100%.
My second favorite of all time is Code Geass.
Okay. All right, I'm with you.
Because that ending is beautiful. I don't think, like, I will say, well, Your Lie in April is my favorite anime of all time in terms of its total length. Like, every episode combines into one thing. The final episodes of Code Geass are some of the best media I have ever consumed.
It is really good.
That's
another one, like, oh my god, like my teenage years and like my early 20s was just like keeping up with how insane that show was.
It's just so tragic, but it's so beautiful and it's heartwarming, but you want to cry again, and then you go back to thinking it's sad. It's just, and it's very complex as well, the situations with all of those characters. It's so wild. Yeah. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Code Geass and Your Lie are just so good to me. And I like
those are amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just thought of one that I might have to press it to you, but like if you got more, I want to hear them. But now I've
go
thought
ahead.
of one that
Go
I
ahead.
got to be like. So, have you heard of Kids on the Slope?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Okay, so good news. I was looking for it for a year because I wanted to show it to my partner. It's another anime by Shinichiro Watanabe, so that's Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, like that whole deal. Carol and Tuesday as well. And it is about jazz.
Okay.
It's got a music angle, it's got a heavy emotional angle, and the two main protagonists kind of have that same, like, I guess, opposing factor where, like, one is actually, man, this is kind of like lining up with the other one I was telling you about. Main character is very straight-laced, kind of nerdy, plays classical piano, that's his original thing. Mm-hmm. And then he meets this dude who's just like the type to get into fights, but he's a jazz drummer. Yeah. And just seeing like the way he plays like inspires him to want to learn jazz. It's so good.
Okay. I will definitely check it out. Hell yeah.
Oh man. It's on High Dive if you have High Dive. Like, highly recommend it.
Okay. Now, before we get into gaming, there is one thing I want to ask you regarding anime.
Okay.
How do you feel about the state of growing quality? Because at first, when they started happening, god awful. Get rid of them. Burn them from the face of the earth. But how do you feel about the growing state of quality with live-action remakes?
Okay. I might have the hot take here.
Okay.
So, I like a lot of them. The first one that actually flipped me over is one that a lot of people hated.
What's that?
I actually enjoyed the remake of Cowboy Bebop. A lot of people do not agree with me.
All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this. I'm just kidding. just
so
kidding.
The thing there, I think... Oh, yeah, it's all good. I think the thing to kind of go into that makes it worth it is to not compare it. And that was what I had to kind of do. Because if I'm sitting here and trying to, look at it like a shot-for-shot remake of Bebop, it's terrible, right? Like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
However, if I kind of think about it like its own story, where it doesn't have a connection to the anime and it tells its own story, surprisingly not bad. Like, better quality than some of the other shows that Netflix does on their own, in fact. Now, it's a little... And to me, I think that's why, like, live-action Bebop got a little bit of a bum rap, because, like, when the thing you're compared to is, like, one of the best anime out, you're gonna fall short no matter how good you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing. It's more like live-action Bebop was great until you try and compare it to the anime.
Yeah. Did you see the live-action One Piece by chance?
I did.
I actually loved it. I genuinely loved it.
It was actually great. And like they handled everything super well. Obviously, because we only had 8 episodes, there were some story beats that I wanted that got dropped. Mm-hmm. One of the ones was the fight with Buggy. There's a whole side story about a shopkeeper's dog that stands up to like one of the big bads because that house is all that dog like knows and cares about, and they just totally dropped that. And in my heart, I wanted that dog to have that side story in the live action.
Okay. Yeah.
But like outside of like being like, oh, I missed a couple story beats, like, absolutely like phenomenal. I'm stoked for season 2.
I definitely think it's one of the better live action remakes out there. Especially because Oda was at the helm.
Absolutely.
Like he oversaw that project, and he was like, I am going to prove the naysayers wrong. There is going to be one of these that is good in the eyes of just about everybody. And I think that's the consensus. I think that while there are flaws in it, I think that pretty much everybody thinks it was all right, at the very least.
Oh, no, it was really good. I think it's probably one of my favorite, like, out of like the live action remakes, which unfortunately I can't really say for the Yu Yu Hakusho live action remake, but that's, that's neither here nor there. It was...
yeah.
You tried.
Yeah.
They tried.
Like...
I
think they would just need so much more to try and do something like that. Like, you need more than 8 episodes. And
yeah,
especially with some of the crazy shit that's in Yu Yu Hakusho, you have to have more than a Netflix budget, I think.
Oh yeah, no, you need like movie budget.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose really fast.
You're good.
Year-round allergies, very, very fun.
You know what? I am going to edit this so that is used as the censor sound effect.
Me blowing my nose?
Yes, that'll be the censor sound effect. Absolutely.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Congratulations, you have officially embedded yourself into this. Oh, that's wonderful. God damn it. So, let us move on to gaming, a sphere where I'm a lot more active in. I mean, I'm active in the anime sphere, but gaming is much more my area.
Gaming's life, I got you.
Yeah. So, let's talk about favorites, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, let's... Man, depending on the genre, I got a million, but I'll just go through like what I'm playing very often these days. So, the number one Shining series that has just become my beloved, my favorite, the Like a Dragon / Yakuza series.
Ah, fair.
Just
10
out of 10, unbeatable. It's so good.
And it's so wild because, like, I think each of the games have just gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they make them every single year. There's a new one, and it's like, how do they do it? How?
They just know what the people want. And what the people clearly want is to go get their ass kicked at Mahjong in a parlor all day.
Yeah.
I'm actually, funny enough, I'm learning to play Recheat Mahjong right now, so I've like reinstalled every single Yakuza game just to like go in and try and like actually beat them. I'm so bad at that game. I'm terrible. But I love the Yakuza series. That is like my number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, the Final Fantasy series in general.
God, yes.
Man, I have a huge soft spot for 14. I am a daily player. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. I actually got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and 10 out of 10 game of the year for me, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm waiting. I'm like really like I think maybe like 2 or 3 hours away from beating Remake, just because I have not had the time to turn my PS5 back on, and I am not rebuying that game on PC. But I'm gonna beat it, and then we're jumping straight to Rebirth. I'm looking forward to it.
Have you played the Yuffie DLC?
I have not yet, so I'll have to do that too.
Yeah, I was going to say do that before Rebirth, because there is some stuff in Rebirth that alludes back to that, and you'll need that context. But
okay, cool.
God,
yeah.
Rebirth is so good. It is the best Square Enix open world period.
Oh. So now that's hot. That's a big one.
Yeah. And because, like, when you start the game, you have sections of the open world that you can go through, but everything is locked behind, like, chapters and all that. But once you get to a certain chapter, the entire world opens up. You can cross the waters, you can cross the landscapes. There is a test drive for the flight system.
Oh.
Which we believe is going to be utilized a lot more in the third iteration. We don't know what it's called, but my bet's on Final Fantasy VII Reunion, because that's the whole thing.
Yeah. That's, man, you've got like lore stuff. Lore drops on your theories. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just the characters of Final Fantasy are some of the greatest in gaming. They really know how to make everybody stand out. And even like from game to game, there is no character that I would think this is the same character as so-and-so from... Yeah, like, I love the Final Fantasy series.
Exactly. I mean, so I don't know if you play 14 at all, but like, man, there is so much to be said for the fact that like 14 is just kind of like a love letter to the fans. Like, no matter which one you've played, they've found ways to kind of tie every single game into this game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so good. Like, me and my partner just finished Dawn Trail's main story.
Gotcha.
We're going through all the end game content right now. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah. And I think the best part about 14 is that it's just fun. It is so fun. So there's so much in gaming that right now that is so focused on the narrative stuff. It's so focused on like the dramatic tension between characters and all that. And while there is that in 14, it's just a lot of dumb fun. It's Final Fantasy dumb fun. Yeah.
Just whatever you want to do, you go and do it. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see. So if I'm going to keep looking at and thinking about what other games that I'm really like all in on, you probably saw this one coming. League of Legends. I don't play it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But I do still enjoy it quite a lot.
Getting over a League addiction is harder than heroin. It has been said by many. And to all of those of you who have a League addiction, please seek help. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We promise there is light on the other side. You can get through this, my friends. You can. But no, I'll admit, I did have a League phase a few years ago. I was fully engulfed in it. It was very detrimental to my social life at the time because none of my friends played it. And,
that sucks.
But I was having fun nonetheless. And then one day I realized, oh shit, I don't have friends that I talk to. So, I mean, I
that's me with like League and Valorant. I'm way down now that I'm like, I've done a lot of work for Riot, so like I don't feel the need to like play the game as much, but like I still play like at least 5 or 6 games of League and like a few Valorant games a week. So like I'm still in on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's another one of those series that's just, it's fun. And especially with stuff like League and Valorant, you don't have to care about the story. Oh, apologies for that. Holy shit. You don't have to care about the story. You really don't.
True.
But at the same time, there is a deep story in those games. Like, the lore is... It makes Five Nights at Freddy's look like baby shit.
Oh, totally. Like, have you seen their universe page?
Yeah.
Like, they, like, for a while, like, you know, some of, like, the stuff, they were hiring people who, like, wrote for, like, the Warhammer 40K books to write lore for the champions. Like, they weren't fucking around on that. They were like serious. Actually, like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, actually, like a fun fact for like people who are familiar with like what I've done for Pentakill and everything. They hired people to write lore for like Pentakill 3. There's like actual writings, and people were going nuts, like reading everything and like digging through everything for clues. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. And speaking of lore in League of Legends, I don't think we can talk about that without talking about one of the best animated series, I think, in recent years, Arcane.
Oh, yeah.
Because that Arcane's show is just so good.
Fortiche, like, killed it. Like,
And season 2 is just on the horizon. Which is...
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So stoked.
So, like, when I was working on Pentakill, that was actually right around the same time that Christian Linka Preco, who was also working on Pentakill 3 with us, was back and forth a lot to Paris working with Fortiche on Arcane.
Okay.
So, like, occasionally I'd get to hear, like, a clip or two of, like, some of the music and stuff like that. He'd just be like, it's coming along. Man, seeing how everything went from, like, where it was to where it ended up was so good. Like, a thing people don't necessarily know about me, because a lot of what I do is, like, rock and metal, but, like, I am a huge hip-hop head.
Yeah.
And two of my favorite rappers are actually Denzel Curry and Jid.
Yeah.
So, like, to see that they managed to get both of them in that soundtrack was, like, mind-blowing to me. Absolutely
I
insane.
unironically think the JID portion of Enemy is the best part of the song.
Oh, yeah. He killed it.
His flow is so unique, I think.
He's so good.
He effortlessly switches between different phrasings, and it's so good. So good.
Gotta be. I definitely like, one of my favorite rappers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think with enough time, probably going to be in a lot of people's top 5, like, guaranteed.
Yeah. I did kind of want to go back to the Final Fantasy to extend the reach of Final Fantasy to my personal favorite game series, Kingdom Hearts.
That's an interesting one.
Is that on your list at all?
It is not.
Really?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I've been aware of and been playing the Kingdom Hearts games since I was a kid. Like, I was like in middle school when the first one came out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're great games, but one of the things that started to happen was just ARPGs, like action-oriented JRPGs, kind of weren't my thing around the time when I was really getting into the games.
Okay.
So the gameplay ended up stopping any of the love that I had for the story. I still greatly appreciate it, and like a lot of people, like, it's one of Logan's favorite games. Like, a lot of my friends are like still super into it, so I'm still got my finger on the pulse. It's still a great game, but just something about it. You know what? It's been a few years. Maybe I'll actually like jump back in and see if it's different now. I might end up loving it, but yeah. Might be time to give it a second chance.
Because Kingdom Hearts 2 is tied with Borderlands 2 as my favorite game of all time.
Ooh, interesting. I love Borderlands, by the way.
Yes.
So good.
It's such a crazy, inventive world, Borderlands.
Oh, it's Mad Max on crack.
Yeah. And what I really love about it is the thing that nobody, I think, really talks about, is that because there's the air of comedy and ridiculous happenings all over Borderlands. It's kind of the thing for Borderlands. But what I don't hear anyone talk about is that underneath all the zaniness, the craziness, and all of that, it is fucking depressing.
Yeah.
Like, if you take away the ridiculous bouts of dialogue that those games have to offer, I think it would be just about miserable to play. Even though the gameplay is fun, the story is so dark. It's like, especially going into things like pre-sequel 2 and onward, it's just, wow. So many of your friends are just dying left and right. Yeah. And
supremely bleak.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about the Borderlands universe that I just love, though. It's another one of those where sometimes I go to it just for dumb fun. It's there's the comedy is so good, especially in both 1 and 2. I think the weakest game in terms of comedy is Tales from the Borderlands. I didn't really get too into Tales. And it was made. Have you played it?
I did, yeah.
So it's even made worse by the fact that spoiler alert, Scooter. They didn't have the right to do that to him. No.
True. Yeah.
I don't think that it was the right time for him to go as a character. I think they could have done a lot more with him.
I feel like that's true, yeah. Like, I don't know. That game was, I don't know. If I'm playing a Borderlands game, Tales from the Borderlands was like, because like, let me make sure I'm not like lying here. That was the Telltale Games one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't know. Like, lots of like narrative meat there. So they're doing something different, but like, I don't know. That's just not what I go to Borderlands games for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
Let's see. I got a couple more. On deck. The other two that I think I'd probably give to is one is the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I'm still like, I'm waffling on whether or not I want to just beat 5 on the Switch again or buy the PC version and actually like do the new content.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like, I'm gonna make a distinction here. I love the Persona series, don't get me wrong, but I just love SMT more.
Really?
Something about the fact that, like, the same way that we're thinking Borderlands, right? The way that these games kind of lead you in is with an immediately like bleak and depressing like outlook, and you are like the thing that is the hope there.
Okay.
Though they don't ever present it as as hopeful as that, but like, yeah, like you are what survives in a world where everything literally fucking ends, right?
Yeah.
So like, I love that, and also just Shoji Meguro as a composer.
Yes.
Dear God, that man.
The soundtracks for Shin Megami Tensei and Persona are some of my favorites in gaming.
Funny enough, I am currently working slowly, so I don't know when it's coming out, but I am working on a album of Persona covers from all 5 of the main series games.
Oh shit, let's go. Hell yeah, man.
It's a lot of moving parts, waiting on a lot of people, but like whenever it's done, I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, yeah, I have to, like, I've had that need in my body for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to go with 5, rounding it out at 5, this is probably another niche one, but the Zero Escape series.
Are
you familiar?
Yeah.
Oh man, like, I actually just recently replayed all 3, and God, it, with the exception of like a couple of things in the narrative, they hold up so well. Also, man, like playing the second one and talking about like Radical 6 causing like a global pandemic and realizing that this game came out in 2014 kind of
Yeah.
did something not nice to my brain.
Yeah. That. It's a little bit of a brain revelation. It's like, oh, it's like Plague Inc. all over again.
Like, literally, like, oh, like, you didn't have to get it that on the nose. I really do not like that.
Yeah. Another franchise for me, I think it will always be my favorite action games of all time. Mm-hmm. Doom.
I mean, absolutely.
I
just wish I was less ass at Doom. They're so good.
Yeah. I think the thing with Doom is that because there are a lot of action games where you can be, you can sit still. But with Doom, it's everything is a moving part. You have to always be mobile. And that's where I get screwed a lot because I'm used to, as I said, games like Kingdom Hearts where you have to slowly analyze your enemy's moves. In Doom, there's no time for that. So I'm not the greatest Doom player at all. Like, I would put myself in the bottom 20th percentile, but I still love them.
Like the whole like action puzzle thing is so good. Just like that constant vibe of get busy moving or get busy dying.
Yeah. It's like it's like a hack and slash, but
it is
with better.
It is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Doom will always, and I think that until the next Doom game comes out, I firmly believe that Doom Eternal is the best shooter game out right now. It is goated, god tier.
Absolutely. I think it's a great one. I'm really looking forward to the new stuff coming out too. Like whenever they're, because I know they've got to be like doing something new. I'm actually not entirely sure what's going on with that, but like
they actually just revealed the trailer for the new game.
Wow, man.
Yeah, I believe it's Doom: The Dark Age.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. Okay, I did see that.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought I was misremembering. I'm like, am I going crazy?
And like,
but yeah,
I saw the trailer and it's like it almost looks like a different take on Doom. Because with a lot of Doom games, it's like secluded hallways, maybe a few open environments, but this looks open. Like it is literally so many hordes coming at you at once. And the parts from the trailer that I saw, the one that caught my eye and I think everybody's eye was the shotgun where you grind the skull into it and it shoots bullets, like bone fragments of the skull, and it's just
that's insane.
That is the most Doom thing to ever happen. That is the most Doom style weapon. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
it's so good. I'm still in on a bunch of the other ones, like the one series that like I'm terrible at, so I've decided to actually like remove myself from is like the Soulsborne series.
God.
I kind of had a revelation where I went, you know what? Sometimes life is hard enough. I don't need this.
So I actually have a hot take for the gaming community. Ooh. So going back to Kingdom Hearts, it has infamously hard super bosses that are in the post-game content. My hot take is that Kingdom Hearts super bosses are infinitely more difficult than Soulsborne bosses.
Ooh.
Because
I have a feeling your inbox will be getting flooded tomorrow from that.
Yeah, whenever this goes out. Yeah, that's going to be chaos in the comments. I have beaten all of the Soulsborne games. And with Bloodborne, each of those games took me a few days. With most of the Souls games, each of those took me a few days. Elden Ring took like 2-3 weeks. Kingdom Hearts 3 has the Superboss Yozora, which came out with the DLC in 2020. I still, to this day, have not beaten that boss.
Oh, man.
Not once. And I haven't even gotten him to half health since 2020. He is...
Jesus Christ.
It is beyond insane. Because the complaint with Kingdom Hearts 3 before the DLC was, it's too easy. And so everybody on the Square Enix team was just like, oh, you want something hard? We'll give you something hard. And yeah,
famous last words.
I haven't beaten it yet, but I have I beat the Elden Ring DLC that recently came out, and I did that within a few nights. And it's like,
damn,
I cannot beat some of the KH super bosses. They're just too hard.
Yeah, my friends and my partner have been doing Elden Ring for the last 3 weeks to a month, and they're just taking it slow.
Yeah.
I'm staying away. That's
yeah, that
I don't want to break controllers. But
and that's totally
honorable
understandable.
Mention.
It's not for everybody.
Absolutely. I am going to say honorable mention though. One series of just games that I have been into for a long time, and it's part of why I wanted to have 2XKO on my resume, just because I love fighting games, is Street Fighter 6.
Hell yeah.
I'm getting back into it after a pretty healthy break from it, but I just want to make sure I state that I love that game so much.
Yeah.
I play a very sloppy and terrible Cammy and a somewhat respectable Ken, so
Gotcha.
we're working on it. We're getting there.
So in terms of going back to music in the scene, what was the general idea when you started going into original music? Because you had done covers, obviously, and you had worked with a lot of people, but what was the kind of driving force behind going into original music stuff?
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so the big thing is I love making covers. I always have, and I'm not going to be stopping doing covers. But since I do so much other music and composing on the side for other YouTubers and bigger clients, people like Riot, people like just Jaw Drop Games and other places that I've done work for, I just decided to want to give an honest shot to seeing how the music that I make for myself would do. And thankfully it went pretty well. I'm really I'm super happy with how everything has gone. Oh shoot. Did I not order my food?
You're
Sorry.
Good.
I have a grocery order that just didn't go
gotcha.
through.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, not a big deal. It's my own fault. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give myself a chance to see how my own style would work. It's not that I don't like doing covers. It's just that, I don't know. I'm able to... my whole thing, the whole reason I started doing YouTube was, I wanted to give an authentic version of who I am and what I like to people who would want to follow what I do.
Yeah.
And writing music for myself just feels like the right way to do it. I've got 4 other albums that I released. I kind of lived in the progressive metalcore scene where a lot of that stuff is already out. But I don't know. In the years since the last album I put out, which was an album called Harrier in 2015, I think I've gotten better as a songwriter, and more importantly, I'm able to write more from a position where I'm just writing about my emotions and how I resonate with things that I consume. It used to be I used to think writing about things things that I was into was cringe. And I'm why am I like that? I just kind of got over that part of myself.
Yeah.
I think the big thing was hanging out with a lot of the VGM scene, dudes who were just yeah, my whole thing is that I just write music about Pokemon or other bands that I've met and hung out with, a deathcore band called Brand of Sacrifice.
Yes.
Love Brand of Sacrifice. all their stuff is about Berserk. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, like, you know, yeah, but, like, hey, like, it just...
Very happy for them, by the way, signing to Nuclear Blast.
Dude,
I'm so stoked for whatever they release next, because I think it's going to be a new album, but I don't really know, because they put out...
I want it to be.
Because they put out Between Death and Dreams, and it's like, that was a banger EP. I think that's one of my favorite deathcore EPs, like, generally, of all time. Just each track slaps so hard.
It's gonna fuck. Like, whatever they put out, it's gonna fuck. That's all I can say. But yeah, like, honestly, like, meeting and talking to people like that just kind of got me into a mental space where I'm like, there's no such thing as cringe. Just do what you like. And this is really just me deciding, like, fuck it. I just want to do what I like. Thankfully, other people are, like, right there with me. That was, like, the one thing I was terrified about. Like, making content on YouTube is such a weird dog and pony show sometimes, where, like, everything's got to be, like, manicured and properly delivered. But yeah, this time I was just kind of like, hey, this is what I fuck with lately. Like, do you fuck with it too? Like, I can talk about a couple things that I've got coming out in, like, August. It's going to be some wild stuff, but, like, I'm working on a, like, chill, laid back, like, hip hop song about Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail.
Okay.
I'm working on the most weird industrial metalcore song that I think I've ever done, and it's very much in the, like, Code Orange kind of vein.
Okay.
And it's gonna be about Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And it's I'm writing it with Logan Van Adams, and because that's I mean, first of all, Logan's like my best friend, and we've kind of got our little project Make Stuff, where we just make stuff. But, like, the first song we did was literally just us doing, like, a Pokemon-inspired thing for Halloween. But the whole thing was, we like boy bands and pop music, so we're going to make a metal song with, like, a boy band-type chorus. And that's just kind of how we do stuff. So, like, some of the remnants and, like, the pieces of Make Stuff are going to be in that Shadow the Hedgehog song, where, like, it's going to be very intense and aggressive, but, like, I'm going to squeeze some catchiness in there, too. That's kind of, like, where we're at these days. Sure. It's going to be a weird one, but I'm excited for that one more than, like, anything else. I think people are, like, going to super love that.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, like, lately, I think the two things I'm trying to do are just kind of, like, shift out of the genres that people expect me to do. I'm still going to be doing metal, but, like, it's going to be metal in a way that people don't expect it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's what my thing always has been. And, like, the original music's going to be pretty dope. That's all I can say on the original nerdcore stuff. But while we're on the subject of original music, you may have seen it, like, last year, but this is how long this has been in planning. I did a playthrough for GOC Guitars, and I showed off a song that I wrote in 2011 that I kind of gave a new coat of paint to, called Downfall of the Stars.
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
So, So that was a very tiny, like, super soft launch of, I'm writing an album of original music.
Okay.
I have a title now. I've actually been at a few conventions and shows performing these songs live now.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they're being received super well. But they are from the album that I'm writing, that I'm planning to put out by the end of the year. Might not be, depending on how things go, but I'm planning for the end of the year. It's going to be called Chapter Black.
Okay. Is this the first time, like, you're officially talking about it? Or...
I mentioned it once on Twitter, but outside of that, yeah, this is the first time I'm talking about it.
We got the Trey Watson exclusive, everybody. Holy shit. We wildin'. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm planning to put out something from that collection of songs probably in the next month or two. And
oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's going to be it's going to be this very weird hip hop metal hybrid. That's kind of like where I've been living, but it's like I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've actually been doing a little bit of writing with Sky Accord from Issues on some of the choruses and stuff. It's real good. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's actually the second time we've had a guest on here reveal or like talk about an exclusive thing, because for those of you who have listened to the episodes thus far, when these come out, I interviewed Chloe Eves, the voice actor, and at that time, they were just revealed as the voice of Corin in Zenless Zone Zero. Like the day that we recorded that announcement came out, and I was like, "Whoa,
that's so sick!" Look at you getting the jump on everybody else. That's sick.
It's kind of crazy. I like, cause, I mean, if you don't mind, I started Winter Talks because I was just like, I want to talk with people. As I told you, it's the yapping chair. I want to have personal talks with people about things that are happening. I don't know. I started this because of that, and I didn't think that, I mean, you would agree. I just kind of reached out. I did the same with Chloe. I didn't know that they would agree. There's some people who I'm going to be having on that it's like, how did I do that? Because, I mean, I don't even have 300 subscribers on YouTube right now. I don't even have that. And it's like, to be able to, I mean, this is the probably the more self-deprecation thing, but it's like, this is so special talking to you guys, talking to everybody who I've had on, because it's just so cool. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, like, I appreciate you having me on. Like, you know, like, it's one thing to like do like meets with people and like mention stuff on your own YouTube channel, but just getting to like sit and like literally like just talk to somebody is like super nice.
Yeah.
And like, low key, you know, all of us content creators, we love you.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
it's all good. I love it.
I have, like, each of these has been so fun, from the 1 hour session with Chloe to the 3 hour session with my friend Mia. It's just awesome to be able to be doing this. So, from the original music topic, let's go into something that very recently happened, EVO 2024.
Oh, yeah.
Because I believe this is your first year in it?
I mean, as a composer, yeah. It is. I was a little bit of part of the 2XKO thing for last year, just because my music was the champion select theme or character select theme for the 2XKO demo. Still is this year if you attended. But yeah, like, that was like the first time anything I had done had been on the Evo floor. But this time, like, yeah, we were in there for real.
Yeah, what was that like, being included in that?
It was, first of all, super, super cool experience. Like, shouts out to like Alex V and Zed Tabani. Like, them grabbing me was like really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird ask, I will tell you what.
Really?
So, like, when Zed first asked me to do Mortal Kombat, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, last year we did like a death metal track. That's obviously why they grabbed me, right? And Zed like kind of pulls me to the side and goes, okay, so listen, we did death metal last year. It went over terribly. We don't want you to do that. And I'm like, so what are we thinking? But, like, you know, I'm pretty confident in any genre. So he kind of goes, let's talk about like what you think would kind of fit the vibe. So we ended up settling on a mid-tempo funk dubstep kind of vibe. Yeah. It's a little esportsy in my opinion, but also like we don't typically do that for Mortal Kombat. So like in a weird way, like the answer you'd expect was the answer that you wouldn't expect, right?
Yeah.
It ended up like that one was getting that one to where it was when it came out was a really tough one, just because we ended up having to make a bunch of changes in the 11th hour, like literally like with maybe a week to spare before Evo. But between me and Alex V, who did so much of the like sound design heavy lifting, kind of like getting the transitions to feel right, it ended up being so good. Like this is also like my first track where I'm not really like guitar forward, because you know, knowing me, there is definitely guitar in that song, even if you don't hear it. But yeah, like it's kind of like my first foray into a professional release that's like electronic music.
Yeah.
My first release for something like Ego, so fucking cool. Seeing like the crowd was really like bumping it. My good friend Lacey Johnson. Not all the composers were there. Like I was unfortunately like watching from my house. But Lacey was there. I was getting texts from her being like, "We are feeling the bass shaking the whole stadium. This is sick."
Yeah, because my other question was going to ask, like, if you were there, what was it like meeting the other artists there? But damn.
Oh man, I wanted to. It's the first time in like 3 years that I haven't gone to Evo, which was so sad.
Yeah.
But I am fully planning to go next year, like whether I'm working on something for it or not. Like I'm just gonna be there. But like a lot of them, I actually kind of like know loosely from other circles. They're really cool people. Lacey, I can't sing her praises enough. She's just like the coolest person in the world. So like the fact that she was just kind of like, "I got you. Let me know what we got going on." Funny enough, I actually also did a little bit of work on another track. I don't know if you checked out the Under Night, the Eunice song.
I did.
So that one was composed by my audio lead for 2XKO, Eugene Kang. A lot of weird connections there, because in addition to kind of being the audio lead for 2XKO, he's also my bass player in Pentakill. So like, two Pentakill members writing songs for Evo. But this was he was so excited to like kind of jump back into composing, because he's been doing like audio stuff. And he just he asked me to kind of alley-oop the track. We ended up getting like the low end situated for that song to kind of have that right vibe, that kind of like bedroom pop vibe. Man, that song came out so good. Having Casey Lee Williams singing on it, like I still only like barely know her right now, but I'm such a huge fan of her stuff in Ruby. Like
Casey
so cool.
is one of my main vocal inspirations. I take a lot of inspiration in like my clean singing from her, and I would love to have her on this at any point. That would be such an honor. That would be so cool.
Hell yeah. Maybe I'll send her a message and be like, "Yo, you should just reach out."
You don't have to do that.
I don't know how serious she'd take that message, but hey, you know, I can always listen. The least I can do is ask.
No, you don't got to do that. I'm actually gonna cut this out, because yeah,
no worries. But yeah, like but yeah, like it was super cool, like getting to work on like any of the tracks at Evo, but especially getting to like, for like Eugene wanting to pull me in for 2XKO, and then getting to be like the alley-oop for him to make that song be what it was like full circle stuff. It was super awesome.
And I mean, while we're on the topic of it, let's talk about 2XKO. Because
sure,
yeah, so I mean, kind of same process as Evo. Like, what was that like getting into that?
Oh man, so, you know, thankfully, I guess I could say it's not like a nepotism thing, but it's more like, because I've done work for Riot previously with Pentakill, I was kind of a known entity. I was not originally going to be in the running for that at all, until the music team, actually totally separate from anyone I knew, funny enough, ran across a video of me doing a demo that I had done for Joey Sturgis. I was showing off. I did a little like hybrid like electronic metal clip showing off the Conquer All cabs that he was putting out at that time, and it kind of sounded to them like Polyphia, but not. And I think that was kind of like not the full idea. It's not what 2XKO turned into, but I think that was kind of the seed they wanted to plant originally.
Okay.
So they kind of went, all right, Trey, this was you, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, it's not a cover. And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, we're going to have a conversation because I think we want you to work on this game.
Gotcha. I think we want you to work on it. We're not totally sure.
I mean, big shouts out to Mike Pittman and Eugene for like fighting to get me in on that though. Like they wanted me and it worked out because everyone loved the demo that I did. So, you know, ever since they put me on last year, a lot of my work has been just helping the rest of the composing team make the Sonic identity. Like a lot of them are much bigger composers than me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm working with, you know, dudes like Jesse Zaretti, who's worked on Marvel films and God, like pretty much everything else you could think of. And, you know, I'm working with Casey Edwards, who's done stuff for Killer Instinct and Devil May Cry. So, like, I really am, like, the little fish in the big pond. They are, like, so talented and so amazing. So, like, their job, they knew what to do. I'm still pretty new to this. So, that for me, it was more like they gave me the massive task of, like, what you write is going to set the pace for certain elements in the game. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, no pressure, but I ended up kind of assembling a lot of the styles that I had been listening to, kind of like that, like trap guitar music, metal, rock fusion type of deal. And that kind of ended up becoming what is the Champion Select theme.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I love it. I'm still really happy with how that one came out. And a lot of that work has just been kind of like finding and keeping that whole like vibe consistent. When the game comes out, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of like super awesome stuff by the rest of the team too. Like they've released several of the stage themes that are out that have been worked on by dudes like Jesse and Casey and everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
When I tell you that they're nuts, like they are absolutely insane, and like there's so much more down the pipe. Like a lot of the people at Evo were actually talking about like the music and how it's so different, which does my heart a lot of good, right? Because like even getting to hear that from like the dudes who went coming back home, they were like, oh yeah, man, like we love it. It just makes me feel like I did a good job, right?
Like you had the imprint there.
And yeah, like it's been a really cool job. Like, you know, my contract just ended with them. So like, at least for now, I'm just back to freelancing, but man, what a cool experience. What a, like a great time to work with a bunch of like really talented and amazing people.
Yeah, for sure. We have run through most of the topics. I guess the big one, the big last one is what's next for you? Because of course you've got stuff going on in August. You talked about the original album by the end of the year. Are there any other plans that you can talk about?
Yeah, I think there are. So there's the cover album, there's an original album, but I'm currently going to be talking to a few people about doing some freelance composing for their projects. I'm trying to make sure one of them is one that I can talk about, and I don't think it is. I was just checking my Discord real fast.
You're good.
But yeah, I'm currently speaking with Ray Kaufman, who is working on a series called Aurora, Araura. It's a really interesting, like, action-based animated series that he's working on. It's looking really exciting. I'll send you the link if you want to just drop that, because I think we're currently in talks and it's looking really good that I'll be doing some scoring for that, and I think that's like the one thing that I'm working on.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
It's gonna be a really good time. Outside of that, I'm just gonna be freelancing. You're gonna very frequently see me, or at least the music that I make, on Caleb's channel, Christina V's channel too. I actually do quite a few of her instrumentals right now. And speaking of awesome people, like, God, Christina's like so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just be around. I guess that's what's next for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And to those of you listening, thank you for it. I mean, if you are still listening, thank you for having attention spans better than goldfish, because that's awesome. That really helps both of us out. If you like what you heard here, leave a like, leave a comment below what you thought of our discussions, all that happy jazz. I will leave all of Trey's links in the socials so you can check him out for yourselves. Trey is just an awesome person. You're so cool. You're so cool. And I will give you 30 seconds to say literally anything you want to into the mic. So go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So once again, I'm Trey Watson. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow me at Trey Watson Music on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere that you social media at, you feel me? And I guess the only thing I'm going to leave you guys with is be good to yourselves and each other. Shit's hard out here. We all need it.
Yeah, absolutely fair. All right. And this has been Winter Talks with Trey Watson. Peace, everybody. In due time.
Later.